What is going on, guys? It is Daniel Wright, and you are here listening to another episode of Paving the Way. Guys, I know it's been a couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, I pulled one from the vault. I had a lot going on. I think it was around 4th of July week or something like that. I had something going on. Last week, I played the speech I gave from our recent Top Contractor School event. So I am back in the saddle this week with you. Looking forward to talking to you a little bit about some things that I've learned in the last 8 years in this business, but 15 years total, on my journey from having a J.O.B to working towards becoming a C.E.O. Let's get started. All right, guys, welcome back. And if that intrigued you about working towards having a job to becoming the CEO of your business that you're building right now, then I've got a few nuggets that I'd like to share with you. But first, like I mentioned, guys, I appreciate you guys hanging out for the last couple weeks. I haven't really done anywhere I pull them from the vault before, so that was something that, to be honest, the week got away from me. I didn't get anything recorded. I didn't want to not post something, but I also didn't want to make some bullshit post that was not relevant or not authentic. So I went back and looked through some of the previous ones that I had some of the most engagement with, or people seem to like from a while back, and then repurpose it for that week. Because at the end of the day, we've got new listeners that weren't there maybe at the time that I posted it. So we'll bring back the old stuff and make sure it's good stuff for you too. And then last week, I wanted to share with you guys, like I had posted, that was the first time that I've ever gotten to give any sort of a formal presentation in like a business environment like that. I've been on some panels before. I've been on some discussions like that, but to actually have, the stage to myself and all eyes on me, that was definitely an interesting experience that I was fortunate I got to have it. And I think looking back on it, I had a lot of different conversations with folks who were in the room who kind of gave me some feedback, some constructive criticism, some critiquing, so on and so forth. But ultimately, guys, one of the big things that a lot of folks said was they said, Daniel, they said, you've done, 115 podcasts, that range anywhere from, 5 to 7 minutes all the way up to 30 plus minutes. And so after you do that so many times, you get really comfortable with having to just speak. Because as I'm sitting here talking to you right now, and I'm recording this on Tuesday night, you're looking at it Wednesday morning, I'm just sitting here in a room talking to a camera that ultimately is feeding it out to the audience. And so when you think about it, it's no different than when you're up on a stage talking to the audience of people. The only difference is you actually have the real humans sitting there. So you get some interaction, some laughs, some claps, some eye rolls, some head nods, whatever it may be, but you get some interaction. So if for anybody who's, been thinking about, hey, I want to start trying to grow my leadership abilities or my influence or different things like that, get online, start making some videos, start posting some podcasts, whatever it is, just put the stuff out there. Because even if you're not getting all the traction, all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, whatever it is that, triggers the dopamine release, at least you're getting experience. Because we all know that one of the biggest fears that people have in this world, other than possibly the fear of dying, which I think it's a close runner-up, is the fear of public speaking. And, at the end of the day, there's a reason why there's a lot more Indians than there are chiefs, because not everyone's meant to be the person on the stage, the person on the camera, the person behind the microphone, whatever it is. And that's totally fine. But I have a strong feeling that the people who are watching this, the people who are my friends and in my sphere of influence, my circle, they're all people who want to grow. They want to have, they want to do something with some purpose and some reason behind it. They're business leaders, they're business owners, they're aspiring entrepreneurs, whatever it might be. So my encouragement is get yourself uncomfortable. Put yourself in situations where you're having to practice the things that maybe you're not that good at, because the only way to get better at them is to do more of it. So that's something that I've been taught myself, is to just do more of the stuff you're not as comfortable at. Do more of the things that you're not as good at, because with time, with practice, and with good constructive criticism and feedback, you'll get better at it. Because let's face it, we can't be leaders if we're not able to speak and communicate. And if we can't communicate, then no one's going to know what the heck we need them to do. or what we're trying to accomplish as a team. So you have to get comfortable at casting that vision, at conveying the information of whatever the topic might be. So that's kind of a little lesson I learned from it. Like I also mentioned in that, in that recording of the speech that I gave, it was taught to me by Brian Beckner. He said, if you get up in front of people and you're nervous about speaking to them, it's because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Your motive is to satisfy yourself, your own ego, to make yourself feel good about it. And so whether it's a podcast that we're doing right now, whether it's speaking at an event, whether it's talking to your team at your company, or whether it's just having a conversation, with a handful of friends, as long as you're trying to provide value to them and genuinely provide that value, you have nothing to fear. Because if they don't like it, it's their own fault. Who cares? Move on with life. You did nothing but try to help another person. So you should have no fear for that, no embarrassment, and no concern. So just take that little piece of nugget, do with it whatever you want. I don't really care either way. I think there's a lot more people with a lot more value out there that they have to share. They just haven't yet taken that leap. So I say just go for it because you got nothing to lose. But that's my little prelude here. But let's jump into the topic that I want to talk about today. And that's going from taking you and your business from a J.O.B, a job, to becoming a CEO. The disclaimer that I want to put on this, though, is that I, along with any other CEO or business owner or entrepreneur, whatever it is that you may call them, this is an ongoing journey. This isn't just something that, you figured it out and you just become the CEO and everything's done and taken care of. It's a never-ending journey. It's something that continues to go and grow, that you have to make sure that you're kind of playing this almost like a hopscotch type of a thing of the steps, because it's like you take one step forward, then you take one back because you have to rebuild it. So that's the disclaimer here. I don't want anyone watching this to think that I've got this all figured out and that I'm just, sitting high on the hog and, rocking and rolling and, everybody's just doing everything. But these are things that I've learned, like I said in the intro to this, over the last 8 years, specifically here at Proline. But my entrepreneurial journey has lasted well over about 15 to 18 years, back since I was about 15 years old. And from that time, that there's a lot of things that have just taken place that I've had to realize all add up with each other. And whether it was back when I was 15 and I had a lawn care company and it was me and a couple of buddies helping me on Saturdays, or to now where we have, a multiple 7-figure company with 14 people working with us and a span across, greater North Carolina and South Carolina, that a lot of the things are very similar, that they don't really change with the size. So they're basic principles that I wanted to share with you, no matter whether you're in the startup phase of you just decided to start your business yesterday, or whether you've been doing this for a decade, and you're in the same type of situation I'm in. So the first thing that you need to make sure that you have established well is your brand. Well, what goes into your brand, right? It's your logo. It's your name of your company. It's your motto, your catch line, your slogan, whatever it is. But you want to make sure whatever your brand is, that it's very recognizable. I could, if I had the technology, I'd be showing stuff here on the screen behind me, and I'd show like the Nike swoosh. You wouldn't have to see the word Nike to know it's Nike, or I could show, the Adidas symbol and you would know it's Adidas. Or I'd show the McDonald's, the arch, and you'd know it's McDonald's. You want to make sure that brand is recognizable. For us, at our company here at Proline, one of the big things that identifies us is this huge freaking yellow stripe that goes up the sides of all of our vehicles, all of our trailers, and everything like that. My friends call me every now and then. They're like, man, I saw the truck and trailer driving down the highway. I was running 80 mile an hour in the opposite direction, but I saw that yellow stripe and I knew it was Proline. So you want to make sure that the brand you're building is recognizable, because what you want to have happen is that immediately when someone thinks of your service or your good that you offer, you want your brand to be first to come to mind. Us as humans, I believe, are very basic creatures. So, the old game Pictionary is we're just matching pictures with each other. So make sure that whatever your brand is, that it has an image behind it that is very clear to remember. That image can also be an acronym, right? We have friends that, they have, our friends at the Pavement Group, it's TPG. Everybody knows TPG. They've started to brand themselves more on the one team side of things because they're building out one team of contractors, clients, partners, so on and so forth. So they're building a brand that is very recognizable, right? So shout out to you guys. There's a shameless plug for you. But nonetheless, it has to be recognizable. So that way, when your clients need it, you're the first one they think of. And you want to make sure that's unique, right? If we were a pavement company and we went with everyone else who does, professional pavement company or, awesome asphalt or whatever some basic ass thing is that somebody came up with at 3:00 in the morning, drunk with their buddies and decided to start a business with it, that's not unique. Get you something that's good. Get you something that is very clear, that is going to quickly explain what it is that you do, what you offer, what you're selling, what you're helping with. Because if you don't, then people are going to have to figure it out and they're not going to remember it. It goes back to making sure that it's very recognizable. So Proline Parking Lot Maintenance, our name of our business is very clear on what we do. Parking lot maintenance. Pretty freaking simple. If it's in a parking lot, we probably do it. So there's no guessing, what we do. If we were Proline Services, well, people would be like, well, what the hell, what do you do? What services do you offer, right? Or, just Proline Site. Okay, well, you do stuff on site work. That's a pretty broad range. So get very specific on what it is you do. Now, if you are a site work company, great. Make sure that your name has something about site works in it, because you want that client to know exactly what services you offer right off the bat. So then the other side, the thing that I've kind of learned, and I have my own opinions on this, you may have yours, but my lawn care company that I had back in, when I was in high school and, there shortly after for a few years, the name of that company was Right Way Mowing and Lawn Care, right? So my last name is Wright, spelled W-R-I-G-H-T. And so we named the company Right Way Mowing and Lawn Care. And the slogan was, have your lawn care done the right way. Great. We have a name that we can put a play on words, right? I could have done Right Way Pavement and done the same type of thing. One thing that I remembered, though, as I was transitioning out of that business and moving on to the next stage of my life, is I didn't really like having my name in the business. Some people like that. Some people have great success with it, and some people have no issues at all. I chose to take the approach that I want to build something that actually doesn't have Daniel Wright or anything associated with my name in it. Part of that is because eventually one day there may come a time where I'm not able to actually own this business. Either I'm not able to, I get old and I decide to sell it, whatever it may be. And for someone buying a business with a person's personal name associated with it, that can make it kind of tough, right? Because then you have to kind of deal with that. Some people don't mind it. Some people do. My personal opinion is if you can avoid putting your name in it, it's probably better for the long run for various reasons. I won't go much further into that. Like I said, that's more just my opinion. So step number one, get yourself a brand established. Get yourself a company name that's unique, that's recognizable, and quickly explains what it is that you do or what you offer. Okay. Step number two, your processes. You guys know that I love some freaking processes. Systems and processes is how I operate, personally and professionally. You don't believe me? Ask the total boss, because when my processes get out of whack at home, shit ain't good, right? I do not like it when it goes sideways. But nonetheless, one thing I've learned now having a team of people who are responsible for getting the majority of our day-to-day things done here, and still building out our processes and how we explain them for things that I'm still in charge of on a day-to-day basis, is that it's much easier to document and build your processes when you're smaller, because you're the one doing it, right? You're the one doing the things. And as the founder, as the leader, as the creator of your business, you want to make sure that when you pass that torch on to the next person, that task on to the next person, that they're going to do things pretty much the same way you did them, because the way you did them got you there. That doesn't mean that you're not going to advance things. That doesn't mean that there's more than, one way to get the job done. Totally agree with all that. But you still have to have a foundational process on which you train people. And then from there, they can then start to kind of make their little modifications, as long as it's still in line with the values, the expectations, and the results that you desire. You can kind of let people grow and develop on their own. The big thing you want to be careful with, though, is making sure that your processes are very clear, but yet they still allow room for people to grow. Because like I just mentioned, you're going to get people that are going to be following this process that have their own ways to do things. And if your process is so rigid that it doesn't allow people to actually grow, you're going to develop a culture that just creates robots. Now, depending on your type of business, you may want robots. that's what you want, then make sure your process is super clear. There's no deviations allowed, and it's straight to the point. Myself, I've always wanted to create a culture and environment in our company that allows people to problem solve, to allow them to create a little bit, allow them to grow and contribute in ways that I wasn't able to because I didn't see it the same way they did. Now, if you ask folks to work with me, they're going to tell you that, yes, Daniel is very specific on what he expects. But that doesn't always mean that I'm specific on the way that you have to get there. Starting out in your probationary period and your training period, yes, the way that you get from A to Z is very specific. Once you prove that you have mastered that, then you get the ability to start getting creative and start looking at other ways that you might be able to accomplish it. Because who knows, we might come across ways that we never thought about that are going to be 10 times better because you saw it from a different perspective. So get your processes started when you're small. And you have to make sure that you're not overthinking this. Too many folks that I talk to, they ask me, how do you train people? How are you getting it to where you don't have to be in the field every day to get the lines striped or the asphalt repairs done or the sealer sprayed? And I tell them, we've invested a lot of time and energy and effort into an online learning platform to build out our basic training expectations for new people. And that's for every position, from our administrative position to sales to operations. We're even building out our marketing platform on how we do different, social media posting and things like that, to make sure that other people, when they come in at the baseline level, know how we do things, what we expect, and kind of what the ultimate results is that we're seeking. So as you're building these out, make sure that you're not overthinking it, and you don't have to create the process. You just have to document what you do. So the easiest way, in my opinion, to do that, and I wish I would have done this earlier, is to record myself doing the work. Set up a freaking video camera, set up your phone, whatever it may be, have a drone flying, and just record yourself doing it. It's no different than a football team or a basketball team that watches film after a game or after practice, right? They're watching a recording of what they were done, and they're kind of finding the sweet spots and the holes they need to fill. The sweet spots are the stuff that they want to make sure that they're getting right and doing more of it and getting more of those results. The holes are like, ooh, crap, maybe I did miss that spot over there. So I should have maybe started over on this side of the parking lot and worked my way over. So now that's going to be the process, is we start from one side and go to the other so we don't miss anything in between it. So that's something that I wish I would have done earlier on, is record myself or ourselves, when I had helpers with me, just record them doing this stuff and then just literally document what they're doing. Step 1, pull the paint out of the trailer. Step 2, make sure the area is cleaned of any debris or vegetation. Step 3, make sure you put your chalk lines down to make sure the lines are going to be straight, blah, 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 like so on and so forth. Because once you have it visually in front of you, it's going to be super easy to document it. So make sure you're documenting that process. Don't overthink it. Too many people, myself included, spent way too much time trying to think about how I was going to perfect the process as opposed to just document what we were doing to get the great results. So that's the second thing, right? Not the third, sorry. The second thing. So the process, make sure you're documenting it. The third big item that you're going to need to make sure that you're going to start establishing to take you from having a job to becoming the CEO is that you need to build a team, right? So caveat here, step number 2, process, and step number 3, team. That's going to be something that constantly go back and forth. Because as you build the process for maybe a 2-man crew or a 3-person team, and then all of a sudden you get 6 people on board and one of those is a manager, well, your process might change a little bit, right? You're going to have more steps to get added in. So don't get so hell-bent on the fact that just because you have a process set doesn't mean you can't add to it, modify it, edit it, so on and so forth. But when you're building a team, any person in business will tell you that's probably one of the hardest but most rewarding things to do, right? Because you're going to go through a lot of the wrong people to get a few of the right ones. It's something that can be very challenging emotionally, mentally, and physically, because there's been times back in, I think it was 2018, and I think I reposted the video from back then not too long ago. Maybe I'll share it again soon just so you guys can see it fresh in mind. But there was a time back in 2018, I had a property that was the size of about 2 to 3 football fields. It was a big storage lot for an HOA here locally. And weather had just beat us down. We couldn't get stuff done on the schedule we were thinking of. long story short, I got to a day where I needed to get asphalt sealer put on the ground, and I had no one that could work, literally no one. And so I found myself out in the middle of this freaking huge parking lot or storage lot, whatever you want to call it. And I had the hose out there, and I had myself, spraying in big half circles across the parking lot, because that's about the most effective way I could do it without having to move the truck and trailer so I wouldn't, walk over the hose and stuff. So I would do all that, and then I'd set the hose down, and then I'd go pull the truck and trailer forward about 50 feet, and then I'd do it all again. And it was a whole day of me doing that out there by myself because I didn't have the right people on board. But also, I wasn't the right leader, and I wasn't the right company to attract the right people. So you have to look at yourself first and make sure that you're the right leader. You're the type of leader that are going to attract the type of people that you want and need in your organization. Because for a long time, I wasn't that. And that was a big lesson I had to learn. And for the record, I'm still learning how to be that, right? Because there's levels to this shit. There's levels to this growth. There's levels to business. And that the leader you were back in, early on when it was just you and 2 or 3 people is not the same leader that you have to be when you're managing 20 to 30 people. It's completely different. So you have to make sure that you're finding the right people for the right stage in your business. Now, for anybody who's watching this that happened to be helping me early on, you guys were exactly the right people at the right time for this business. Okay. Because I didn't have all this organization. I didn't have all this stability. I didn't have this stuff. So I needed people who were okay with something that I was kind of throwing together as we went, right? I was building the plane as we were going down, and people were okay with that. At this stage of business, when people come here, they expect a little bit more stability. They expect a little bit more guidance. They expect more clarity. They expect better leadership. They expect more strategy, more planning, more preparation. And so we have to make sure that we're growing with that. So as you grow your business and your organization, the people that come through it are going to change. And that's okay. Because the people who got you here aren't always going to be the only people who get you to the next place. And that's something that you have to understand and you have to be okay with, as well as the people in your organization have to understand that and be okay with it. If they don't want to grow and elevate themselves to be that next level that the company needs, then they have to be okay with the company finding somebody to come in and help get them there. Because any company that's a successful company is not a status quo company. You either are growing or you're dying in business. That is it. So you have to make sure you get the right people for the right stage of business that you're in. And you want to embrace those individuals because they are all going to bring completely different perspectives, qualities, skills, outlooks, whatever it may be. They're going to bring something completely different to the team that all contributes to making it happen. I was just having a conversation recently with one of my friends about the team that we have here. And I said, man, all the people that we have here have had no experience in our industry. They've never done this stuff before they came here, but man, they are dedicated. They are freaking loyal. They put up with my crap. They put up with my nonsense. They put up with the schedules that we come up with, whatever it may be. They put up with it and they are in it to win it. But other people may look at us and say, well, you don't have a team that can do X, Y, Z. Well, no, but you know what? I got a really freaking great team for where we're at right now. And we're going to continue building on that team. Whether those individuals, like I said, want to elevate themselves to be the next leaders that this company needs, or whether they want to say, no, I'm going to stay a master at what I'm doing here. Find me somebody to help lead me so I can just keep doing this. Because both of those types of positions are needed in the organization. And as your company grows and as it develops, you're going to need more and more of each of those types of positions. You're going to need the people who are the doers that you can count on. In our company, we call them the sled dogs, that they show up and they pull and they push no matter what needs to be done. They get the job done. They're responsible for getting it done. But then you're also going to need people who are in charge of making sure those sled dogs are pulling in the right direction, right? So you got the doers and you got the leaders. A company needs all of that. There is no in between. So you have to have the right people for the right position. And you have to make sure that as you're building it, especially when you're starting out small, that you are selling the vision, that you're selling the dream of where you're wanting to go. Because I can tell you right now, if you're a leader that doesn't have a dream and doesn't have a vision, they're going to see right through your bullshit really fast. Because if you're just trying to make money on their backs, if you're just trying to build your own ego, build your own self-worth, and not have them be a part of the future, they're going to see right through that. And you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and wonder why you can't get anybody to buy into your dream. Because your dream's only about you. If your dream isn't bigger than yourself and you're not doing this to better the people around you, then you will not find good quality people to join and stay on your team. You have to make sure that the vision that you are selling, the vision that you are building is an honest dream that's going to benefit everyone involved. Too many owners I see, too many leaders I see out there are so focused on what they get out of it, what their reward's going to be, what their payoff is going to be. Nobody is asking their team what their dreams are. No one's asking their team what their vision is, because they're so self-centered about what it is that they want. So you have to make sure that the vision that you're selling them is the vision that you believe in, that's going to provide value to them and everyone around them. So that's going to be the big key thing, especially when you're small, because you're not going to have the six-figure salaries to offer them. You're not going to have the take-home trucks. You're not going to have the benefit packages. You're not going to have the nice office with the big lobby and the welcome packets and the swag and all that stuff, right? You're going to have a vision. You're going to have a dream that you're going to have to sell them. And you're going to have to get people who are okay with buying into the dream and not having all the reward right now. But I can tell you right now, if you don't make sure that those dreams come true that you're selling them, they're going to walk right out the door and on to the next person. It happens day in and day out. So make sure that you're very clear on what it is that you're selling them. And then when you get those people who are willing to come in and buy into the vision and buy into the dream that you're trying to build, you have to actually trust them. You know, trust is something that is earned, right? We all know that. But you have to make sure that when you're getting good quality people in and you think, man, like, I think this person might be the one, you got to freaking trust them. You got to empower them and you got to entrust them to make sure that they actually have the opportunity to learn and grow and develop themselves. Because the people who are the right ones don't want to be micromanaged every day. They don't want to be told exactly what to do minute by minute, day by day, right? Especially early on when your team is small. You need a team of people who are good, like middle management folks that you can give an assignment and let them go and they take it and run with it and make it happen, right? As your company gets bigger, you know, you become the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Lowe's, the Costco's. Yeah, you're going to have people who work with you that need to be told what to do every minute. That's just part of it. But they're okay with that. They're happy with it. Their leaders and managers are happy with it. That's just part of the progress of the growth of the company. But you want to make sure that when you're growing this stuff and you're getting out of the day-to-day and you have people that you claim to trust, that you actually let put your money where your mouth is. Let the rubber meet the road. Because if you claim to trust them and then you're constantly hovering over them, there's going to be a lot of friction that comes out of that. And I'm telling you this from experience, right? Back when I had the first project that Proline ever did that I was not on site for, you know, the first one as we grew and we had a team, there was one job early on that Roy, who helped me early on, he just told me, hey, I'll go get it. You're out of town for a wedding. I'll go figure it out. And he figured it out. But when I got back, he said, hey, I ain't going to do that by myself anymore. So, but the first major project back in 2019 that Proline did that I wasn't on as an operator and overseeing everything, I literally had to schedule it when I was going to be out of town, where I was out of state, so I couldn't show up. I couldn't give any direction, couldn't give any feedback. They just needed to handle it and make sure it was done. And guess what, guys? I showed up when I got back in town. I went to go check it out. Everything was great. Client was happy. You know, it's almost like, you know, I had people that I could trust. But I had to put myself in a position to where I was required to give them that trust. I was required to challenge them to get this taken care of without me helping it. And you know what? They were a lot happier when I got out of their way. So just take that into consideration, that when you're building your team, you're going to have different phases where you need different types of people on the team. And as you go through the different phases, and, you know, mind you, like I said at the beginning of this, I'm still early on in the growth of this. These are just things I've learned in the last, 8 years or so. As you go through the different stages, you're going to need different types of people. Some people are going to graduate out of your company. Some people are going to stay in the company. Some people are going to grow in the company. Some people stay where they're at in the company, and other people surpass them or they get hired in above them. And that's okay. So you as the leader have to be okay with that. And you as the person on the team have to be okay with that, because ultimately what has to be concerned about is the greater good of the company. If the greater good of the company is lost because we're too concerned about feelings and emotions and all that stuff, then the company itself will begin to unravel. It will unravel, it will stall out, and then you're going to find yourself looking around wondering why the heck you keep spinning your wheels like you're on a treadmill. So that's that last kind of final step that you're going to really start building to go from a job to a CEO, is building that team. So to recap all of this, You want to make sure you have a brand, right? That's recognizable, it's unique, and it's very clear. You want to make sure that you have a process for what it is that you do, how you do it, and then it's written out so that way when you hire people, it can be duplicated. My recommendation is to also have it on video because that's going to be very important, especially in this day and age. And then you're going to have to build a team. Step 2 and step 3, the process and the team, those are interchangeable. You're going to be doing both at the same time, but they're two very important factors. So I hope that helps you. I hope it helps someone that you may know. If you think it will, go ahead and share it. That's the only thing I ask for this show, this time that I put into it, is that you guys share it, that you comment on it, that you at least give me some engagement so that we can help more people get to where we're at a little bit faster than we did. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you all next week. As always, reach